Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is another long form video. So before we get into anywhere or anything, could you please leave a like on the video? It'd be much appreciated. These long form videos are just awful for the algorithm because it's just short form content these days. But I hope people do enjoy the long form content, and I know people like to delve into it a little deeper. Some of the prog nerds definitely like to watch the long form content, which I completely understand. So yeah, if you could please leave a like on this one, it would be much appreciated, just to help the algorithm and obviously get this band, or any band in particular that we do long form content for, get their name out into the abyss, or the I don't know. I was going to try and make some reference to the album name, but I don't know how to do that. So yeah, guys, today we're checking out the second of the Oceans series of albums. Now, this kind of confuses me because 2 weeks ago we did a reaction to the Oceans Phanerozoic 1, which was the Paleozoic portion of the series. And now we're going to be doing Phanerozoic 2, which is Mesozoic. And the general consensus seems to be that this is the better of the two from what I've seen on the feedback on the last album. If you guys are the ocean fans, I would definitely recommend going back and watching my reaction to Pelagial, and then maybe checking out the reaction to Phanerozoic Part 1, because we do go into detail on like the setup for the album, and you guys will be able to follow along with my thoughts and watch them unfold. Yeah, the Ocean is a band that I can massively appreciate. Not my like go-to music on a day-to-day listen, but I can really appreciate how good they actually are. And I love the overall concepts and that kind of vibe that they can really create with all the layering of their instruments. So today we are going to be checking out Phanerozoic Part 2. And this was requested by my man Tyler Durden, who was actually the person who put me on to doing Phanerozoic Part 1. So Tyler, first and foremost, I appreciate you supporting the channel via the Patreon tier. And yeah, this is back-to-back months where Tyler has kindly, offered his support via the album tier on Patreon. And, we're going to be getting to this album for him. So Tyler has left me a message and he said, "Hey Drew, we all knew this was coming. Phanerozoic Part 2. To be honest with you, I actually didn't even think this is coming, but, I appreciate it nonetheless. But I guess it makes sense if you're going to go through with the album tier for Part 1. Part 2 would make sense naturally. So here we are. So Tyler said, aside from the Eternal Recurrence, the second track on Phanerozoic 1, your whole life, like a sandglass, will always be reversed until all those conditions out of which you were evolved return in the wheel of the cosmic process." And this is what I mean by the prog nerds are going to be swarming to this video, because this is the kind of content that we're getting throughout this. Though humanity is only a very recent phenomenon in the 541 million years history of the Phanerozoic eon, the lyrics of the tracks on this album are obviously written from a human perspective. They are following the philosophical idea of amor fati, which is Latin for love of fate, in the light of the larger themes of eternal recurrence and the inevitability of an imaginary impending collision on a planetary scale, which are the two red threads that go through Phanerozoic 1 and 2. Amor fati is from Friedrich Nietzsche, a German philosopher. It means to embrace your fate, accept what you cannot change, and this has been a recurring theme in our lyrics throughout all of the Ocean albums since Fluxion and Aeolian. One of our very own cases of eternal recurrence. And then it says, from their album art book. I recommend to not read the lyrics and just listen to the music on this one. Figuring out what is going on in the music is already complex enough, especially for a first time listen / reaction. Just sit back, relax and enjoy. And that I will happily take you up on, Mr. Tyler. I appreciate your support, my friend. And yeah, we actually also, Tyler has given us a video, and because this is already long form content and I'm kind of a bit of a nerd for all this kind of things, I do enjoy getting this background. So Tyler said, "Hey Drew, I found a nice little video series about the Phanerozoic eons, just about 4 to 7 minutes, which really cool explains what happened in this period and what the Earth looks like during these times. Part 2 is about the first half of the Phanerozoic album 1, and Part 3 about the second half of the album." And then he sent me 2 video links. So let's just check this out. I want to see this. So we're going to watch this. Again, please leave a like on these videos because this retention is going to be a tough one to keep down.
We are making our way through the Phanerozoic eon, and we just learned about the first era within, the Paleozoic era. Let's pick things back up right as this era was coming to a close. Trouble was brewing in Siberia around 250 million years ago. As convection currents within the Earth's mantle changed, a mantle plume was forming. Mantle plumes are hot, rising areas of Earth's mantle and are responsible for some of the largest volcanic eruptions. The Siberian traps erupted.
I literally feel like I'm back in geography class.
Cubic kilometers of lava within only 2 million years, which is comparable to the entire Mediterranean Sea being filled with lava. Not only did this volcanism spew large amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere, but the volcanoes erupted in the vicinity of large deposits of coal and carbonate rocks. The heat from the volcanoes burned these carbonaceous rocks, which released even more CO2 into the atmosphere. This huge outpouring of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere caused significant global warming, which along with other factors led to widespread ocean anoxia and acidification, causing the extinction of over 90% of all species.
RIP.
This was the largest mass extinction event of all time and is known as the Great Dying. Only time.
And I complain when I don't have Wi-Fi.
Such magnitude.
Imagine trying to live through this shit.
After the end Permian mass extinction,
Oh my god, what the fuck is
life
that?
immediately began to recover and evolution kicked into high gear, taking advantage of increased living space and reduction.
Oh, there's a little
of
crocodile, look.
Thus began the Mesozoic era, which is known as the age of the dinosaurs, since they evolved and subsequently took over Earth during
Completely
this time.
legit.
In addition
Not
to the
CGI.
evolution of dinosaurs, which occurred around 240 million years ago, mammals also evolved during the Mesozoic, but around 30
Like
million
a little
years
pet dog.
This evolutionary head start helped the dinosaurs dominate the mammals throughout their existence. For a long time, dinosaurs
It's mental to think
were
that dinosaurs were actually a thing.
lumbering creatures, but recent discoveries
Like,
suggest that they may have
Look
been
at that thing, man. Imagine just seeing that. You're going out to the shops to get like a fucking coffee or something, and that cunt's just walking down the street like.
another animal at that time, at least until the evolution of mammals. The most impactful tectonic event of the Mesozoic era was the breaking apart of Pangaea, which began around 180 million years ago. The axis along which Pangaea broke apart would go on to become the Atlantic Ocean. As the
That's
crust
fucking
was
so sick,
stretched
man.
and thinned down
It's mental that people figure this shit out.
due to the divergent motions of
Like,
the
I
region below.
can barely even figure out how to use
The Atlantic
Streamlabs.
Ocean continues to
And people can
widen
figure out like how the world
as new
split
oceanic
apart 180 million years ago.
along its axis, where hot, upwelling mantle rock partially melts and solidifies near the surface of the ocean floor. Along the western coast of North America, which was also the
So basically this album
western coast of Pangaea,
sounds like it's going to be one big
forces
collision.
dominated, and a new
Sounds like it's going to be a lot heavier, I'm guessing. And from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure people are saying that it's a little bit more
This
intense.
would begin a theme of continuing cycles of mountain building and volcanism that have also lasted until present day. This convergent plate boundary was responsible for uplifting the Rocky Mountains, which began forming around 80 million years ago. As we wrap up the Mesozoic era, some extraterrestrial trouble is on the way that will change the Earth's biosphere forever. The Mesozoic era ended with another
That's a
mass
cool picture.
extinction event, but this one was not of an earthly origin.
Right, so this is going to be like the heavier side of things.
Equivalent
Oh,
to
yeah.
about 50 million
This shit's going to slap.
slammed into
It's funny how I'm watching this with like the music in mind.
Yucatan Peninsula. The impact itself was equivalent to a 100 million megaton bomb. The
Right.
thermal pulse from this
Oh,
impact
Jesus.
instantly killed anything nearby, and the shock wave created hurricane-force winds extending out about 1,500 kilometers from the
What?
blast site. It was a seismic event.
It is crazy to think that that can just happen at any moment as well.
Because the asteroid
Like,
impacted the ocean,
that's
tsunamis
wild.
100 to 300 meters high radiated across the Atlantic.
Like that could just happen. I know the scientists and everything have like all these means to like predict when certain things are going to hit Earth and like if they can divert it, if it's big enough, if it's only like a small thing. I'm pretty sure like there was something on record where like a meteor hit Earth recently or like it dissolved in the atmosphere or something like that and it wasn't that big. But like the fact that if something that big was going to come our way, we probably couldn't do anything about it. Now, again, I'm not like a meteorologist in case anyone didn't guess that already, or I suppose, in any way equipped to speak about this subject, but just the sheer thought of something that big, like what could humans actually do to stop something like that happening? I know we can like predict something happening, but imagine like the government, this is getting real, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? This is getting real conspiracy theory, but imagine the government just knew something was going to happen. Or just like the powers that be across the globe knew. They get in their little meeting room and they say, look, this asteroid is going to hit Earth and we know it's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. There's no point to telling the general population because there'll just be absolute chaos. Pandemonium will break out. So let's just accept our fate. We can't do anything about it. Let people go on, you know, ignorance is bliss. That's actually terrifying to think, because what good would telling the population actually do for something like that if they genuinely couldn't stop it? Like an asteroid that big, just ready to just absolutely... To be fair, it would make for a very cool like Instagram story as it's about to hit Earth. Like, what can you do? Just record it. Like, here we go. Don't know why I'm recording it, because everyone's about to be evaporated in about 10 seconds, but it would be pretty cool to see happening. But then if you could just wake up after that and everything was back to normal, that'd be great. But obviously the impending death wouldn't be great at all. So yeah.
Up to 100 kilometers inland. Molten fragments of Earth were ejected into the atmosphere upon impact that, upon returning to the surface, would heat Earth's surface to hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit, devastating terrestrial plants and animals, but sparing most marine life due to the high heat capacity of water.
All the boys just chilling under the ocean. So if that's what happens, I'm just going to jump into the sea and I won't die. Perfect.
But the real worldwide devastation would come from long-term...
Me just in a swimming pool in my back garden, just like...
Dust particles were blown into the atmosphere, where they remained for months. This blocked off sunlight, causing both perpetual darkness and a global winter.
Wow, this is going to be the heaviest album ever.
Would have likely killed off anything that relied on photosynthesis for energy, which would then travel down the food chain as herbivores ran out of food.
That's so interesting. However, holy shit. Just that knock-on effect is so...
The global warming associated with CO2 released from vaporized evaporite rocks, which precipitated from the evaporation of ocean water. These rocks were primarily composed of calcium carbonate, the source for the CO2, and calcium sulfate, which vaporized and reacted with precipitation to form sulfuric acid, which rained down upon the Earth. The released CO2 was the main long-term problem, raising Earth's temperature by around 7 degrees Celsius for a few 100,000 years. In addition, the rapid transition from impact-induced cooling to warming would have been very difficult for most types of life to deal with. As a result of the events just described, around 80% of all species went extinct, including all dinosaurs. Though the loss was great, events at the end of the Cretaceous period opened the door for a renewal of life and a mammal-dominated world in the Cenozoic era. Let's move forward and wrap up our journey with this third and final era.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to
so
my
that was a good introduction, I guess, to the album. So without any further ado, we're going to jump in to the ocean's Phanerozoic Part 2, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. Let's go. Okay. So, also, y'all must have thought that I was going to forget the progs card for this one. Hell no. So, lyrics are on screen for you guys, but I'm obviously not going to pay too much attention to them. Off of the recommendation of Tyler, which I think makes sense, because last time I got a little bit caught up on the lyrics and probably just wasn't necessary. I have chills already, not gonna lie. God, I love the autofocus in this camera. As soon as my eyes are out of the equation, it's like, it won't focus. Oh, this is very Tool. This is one of those albums I feel like I need to just close my eyes for. I love the drummer. I can actually just picture how that looks. I'm just gonna have my notepad up on my screen, so if you see me typing, it's just purely taking notes so I can refer back to them at the end of the album. So I'm still listening though, don't worry. Oh, that little bass lick is naughty. Oh my god. So sick. Woo! This is very Tool. Very, very Tool.
So disconnected, and yes, I get it, but there is just no point in further confrontation. Dysfunctional communication skills. You undermine a mutual resolution strategy with your condescending, patronizing habitus of false modesty.
This just feels like a Tool track, which is... Oh yeah. Oh, they're building it again. This is sick. Resolution strategy with your condescending, patronizing habitus of false modesty. You feel so disconnected, and yes, I get it, but there is just no point in further confrontation. Dysfunctional communication skills. You undermine a mutual resolution strategy with your habitus of false modesty. So this period is about 250 million years ago to 200 million years ago. Began after Earth's worst ever extinction event devastated life. This is after the Great Dying, which I believe is the last track on the first portion of the album, if I'm not mistaken. This is literally like a fucking Tool track, man. This is unbelievable. I'm liking this. Every nuanced piece feels like Tool. Those power chords feel very Tool, and then the screams like Maynard. Down and out. Even the drum work reminds me of Danny Carey, just like. So So it's like the human perspective, as if the human was there after this happened with the lyrics. I know I'm not really paying attention to the lyrics, but I remember Tyler obviously mentioned it's from the human perspective now. It's as if you're like being transported back in time. You know, dead trees and seas of sand. You're wandering all by yourself. This is so sick. Album artwork reminds me of Gojira. Looks like one of their albums, I believe. Adam Jones. This just properly gives me the vibes that I got off of Tool when I first started listening to the Tool, man. So good. That tone, man. It's just like reminding me of that Tempest riff. Wow, wow, wow. He's real wow off it. I'm already liking the direction of this album a little bit more than the first portion of the series. Man, yeah, this is literally like even the... Yeah. .5 minute long, let's go. Cool little uprising here. Ooh. Kind of Tesseract here, very Tesseracty. Like Altered State with the layering of the guitars, the clean guitar in the background. Yeah, man, very Tesseract here. So much Tool in this one. Sounds like the Jambi build up. Just that tone. just about hear the bass. Sounds so gnarly building. Growling at me. Vocalist is killing this. Yeah, this is so much better when I'm not trying to pay attention to the lyrics. This is exactly what I used to do with the OG Tool reactions. I just sat back, closed my eyes. And this is kind of what like got me into progressive metal. What is that? Is it like a guitar with some really like liquid feel to it? Oh yeah, this is bringing me right back, man. This is bringing me back like 3 years. First started going in the Tool rabbit hole. That little drop. This is another one of those tracks that I just feel cool listen to. Oh, I've got chills all over my body. Little piano, I think. Back to that Tesseract sound again. It's just the way the clean guitar is layered in the back. It just gives me that Altered State vibe. What a unique album that Altered State album is. It's nice to hear something sound somewhat similar to it. The really low piano. Boom. Very ominous. I actually just realized that Catatonia are on this. Didn't even notice at all. Only Catatonia has been featured yet, if it's their vocalist. It's so funny that we're 7 minutes into a track and the feature hasn't even come on yet. There he is. Oh, this is like almost kind of like an EDM feel to it in the background. Absolutely love his voice, man. Fuck me. One of my favorite prog vocalists. Another vocalist that just perfectly stays in his lane. Doesn't try and overdo things. I think he knows his limitations with like higher and lower notes, but just like rides that middle ground again so perfectly. Such a like haunting sound to his voice as well. It always sounds like he's almost putting no effort in, but it just works so well. He's like, he's coming. Oh, that little bass. Oh my god, that progressive build-up with the EDM spiraling sound. This is phenomenal. This is masterpiece material so far. I can't find a single flaw now. I don't even need to take notes. I can't help but just feel like it just sounds so like Tool. I know I keep saying it, but every time I hear it, I have to just like... The resemblance is uncanny here. I never really heard this Tool influence as much in their other albums, with like Pelagial and part 1 of this. This feels very, very Tool. The guitar work has so much similarities with the way Adam Jones plays. Yeah, that call out was so fucking sick. Coming back to that lyric line as well. What a fucking payoff, man. That is how you do it. Oh, that was, yeah, that's a progressive masterpiece if I've ever heard one. That was absolutely unbelievable. Guys, I'm going to quickly go to the toilet because already this album, we've been sitting here for a while. I've obviously did the video at the start and I did quite a long intro, so bear with me, back in 2 seconds and we're going to get into Paleocene. Paleocene? We'll get into it in a sec, okay? Alright folks, we're back. I just had the longest piss of my existence. Not going to lie, I drank about 1 litre of water this morning before we started this, which wasn't a great idea, but let's move on. Yeah, not paying attention to the lyrics is just the way forward with these guys for first reactions. The Paleocene is the period that those little like dinosaur dogs started strolling around, I think, from what I'm seeing here online. Yes, I did just say dinosaur dogs. Taking some notes here just so I can have some, so I can get all of my thoughts as it's happening onto paper, digital paper. Not the biggest fan of this track, I'm not gonna lie. It's not really doing much for me. I think because of the band they are being so progressive, they need that length to really like captivate me. Otherwise it's a little bit like fast paced, and the overall sound is yeah, like the overall sound lacks significant melody or groove, which isn't their style, of course. So it's not exactly like, it's not like I can pinpoint it and say, oh, well, this is a problem. It's just not their style. It's obviously a different type of band that I would probably have on regular rotation. But I think when their tracks are long, that's when they seem to shine. not necessarily 13 minutes long, which is the last track. Obviously that was a bit of an exception, but even just like having that a little bit longer to really set a mood with the atmosphere and allows you to kind of get into that headspace and imagine where we actually are. Obviously in context of the whole album, this probably fits into, you know, that quicker track, just right to the point, a little bit more up tempo than the last track, which was this like big, you know, soundscape masterpiece. So I don't really know if that track was for me, because again, it just kind of got to like the sound overall musically isn't for me unless it's really playing into that progressive, you know, like thematical feel, whereas this one just felt like a kind of faster tempo track that wouldn't normally do anything for me at all. So that was actually some of the points I'm taking here. It just kind of lacks considerable melody throughout, but of course again that's not their thing, and it doesn't really have any groove moments. So the way it really gets me is with those like goosebump moments where it feels like you really get a big payoff from like this progressive feel that leads you into this moment, and you can almost like feel or imagine the situation that you're in within the context of the theme of the album. So something like this, not really for me. But up until this point, it's been very, very good. Obviously my reaction and thoughts has backed that up, but that one just wasn't for me. Let's see what this one's like, because again, it's another short one.
Charity is your demand, but you never showed me any lenience. Empathy and violence reconcile under your steer diligence. How can you see yourself as a proud child of disobedience when
one was a little bit more up my street. Last two tracks haven't been my favorite. This one, like, it wasn't too bad. I just think after coming from the Jurassic track, it was going to be tough to really continue on that level. But Paleocene, yeah, it was a bit too, like, far from the taste that I would normally go for in prog. That last track wasn't too bad though. Kind of brought that Tool vibe back again. Tempo was kind of peeled back a few layers from Paleocene, which is definitely more up my street for these progressive albums. I'm liking this though, man. I'm getting chills again. Oh yeah. There is a really good, like, I guess when you really dig into the different layers of the different periods of time, and obviously each track is corresponding with that period of time, there's like a real prominent ebb and flow to the album where you're getting like a destructive period and then like the kind of settling of the dust after that destructive period. So it really does play into the overall theme, but again, there's only so much information I can learn for one video. Obviously the video at the start definitely helped to kind of paint a picture of the destruction that happened and the vibe of that particular period of time. I'm really liking this though. So soothing. Yeah, I really need to like separate my playlists. Mine's just a mess right now. At the moment, all I'm doing is just liking shit, and it goes into my like list, and it helps me at the end of the year. But I really need to be able to like differentiate between the different types of tracks that I really like, because this is so beautiful, and I really like this one. So I'm gonna like it, but I need to like fit this into like a chilled playlist, like really like laid back. Almost like you could listen to this as like background music for like trying to focus on something if you're, you know, doing research on something, or just trying to really focus in on a task that you need to get done. This is like quite nice. It's like kind of an inspiring feel to it. Feels like the end credits to a movie. Loving that. And then the kind of synth wavy. Sounds like a whale almost. That kind of breaks up the monotony of the... Yeah, it's a real nice flow to it. So the Oligocene or Oligocene is often considered an important time of transition, a link between the archaic world of the tropical Ecocene and the more modern ecosystems of the Miocene. Major changes during the Oligocene included a global expansion of grasslands and a regression of tropical broadleaf forests. So quite beautifully it mimics that description with the music. It feels like a transitional period with no lyrics. It's like almost like a peel back, you know, take a step back, no more lyrics. It does feel like that transitional period in the album, which is obviously coinciding with the transitional period which I just described. So Miocene, let me read this one. Miocene period. The Miocene was a long-lasting epoch in which the Earth's climate rebounded from the cooling of the Oligocene, and there was a marked increase in both global temperatures and the total number of mammal species. Though warmer than the Oligocene, the polar ice caps remained in place. Okay, so we're kind of like gonna get heavier, but maybe not that heavy just yet. And then we have the Pliocene as well. So let's see. Pliocene. lyrics are hard. Just knowing what I'm reading here about the Pliocene. Very Joe Duplantier vocal delivery. Again, really commanding. Ooh, chills again, man. They've gotten me a few times. Really feels Gojira now. I like this. It's kind of like an old school shoegaze sound. Funny how like modern prog would probably have a little dun 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 after that part. I can almost imagine that in like a more modern setting. Dun 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 dun. Oh, I love that. Yeah, he's riding that wave. This is sick. Oh. It feels like we're going to build into something very heavy at the end of this. That's the feel I'm getting. Okay. Alarm bells ringing. What's going to happen? Let's read up on this scene. Placed. So this is kind of like the Ice Age, so to speak, from what I'm seeing, is a geological epoch that lasted from c. 2.58 million to 11,700 years ago, spanning the Earth's most recent period of repeated glaciations. So this is Sid the Sloth and Manny the Mammoth periods of time. The most recent episodes of the global cooling or ice ages took place. Much of the world's temperature zones were alternately covered by glaciers during cool periods and uncovered during the warmer interglacial periods when the glaciers retreated. very interesting transition into that. Went from like a deathcore ballad into just groovier prog. That was a weird ass track. I don't know how I feel about that one. It was all over the place. A lot going on. Definitely one of those tracks that will require a good few listens to figure out. Wow. I mean, instrumentally, from an artistry standpoint, these guys are absolutely unbelievable. Musically though, it's still much the same. I think I probably like this album the most. I definitely preferred part 1 to Pelagio. No, actually, did I prefer Pelagio? I think I preferred the overall theme and the feel of Pelagio. This is the outro track, by the way, so let's shut the fuck up. But I think this is probably my favorite album so far. That Jurassic track alone was just chef's kiss. This is building to be a cool outro though. Oh. That's playlist. It's playlist. Oh, they got me again. Oh, that's a driving track if I've ever heard one. Oh my god, Jurassic has some competition right now. I'm having such a fanboy moment right now. Fuck. This is making me emotional. Fuck. Oh, this is perfect. No, they didn't. This is the perfect track. Oh my god. We are being spoiled with this outro. Oh my god. Oh, I've had chills for the whole song. Oh. Oh my god, this is... This is the coolest song I've ever fucking heard. I feel like I could literally take on nations. Listen to this song. How are they going to outro this? It's like 10 seconds left and it's still progressing. This is the last track on the album. Oh, there you go. Quite an abrupt ending. That was one of the best songs I've heard in a long fucking time. Oh my god. I spent the entirety of that last track trying to just catch my... Like, I just didn't breathe for a few seconds and I was like, right, I need to start actually, you know, breathing here. That was an album that started very well, lost me a little bit in the middle, and then picked it up in the most triumphant way possible, the most dramatic fashion to end an album. Nothing too over the top, no like need for big breakdowns, just that was bliss. I cannot wait to listen to that on repeat so much that I actually fucking end up hating it. But that was the Oceans. Obviously there is more. To be honest, I opened this album and I seen 18 songs, 1 hour and 42 minutes long, and I was like, Tyler, you're killing me here, bro. You're really getting your money's worth for this tier. Fucking hell. But obviously the second portion of the album, the disc 2, is the instrumental version of the album, which we will not be doing. Maybe I'll listen to it on my own time. Honestly, I don't really see any of these tracks as being like, you know, I suppose requiring instrumental only. I think the vocals really complemented it in a lot of ways. Some of the other albums, maybe part 1, I think maybe the instrumental might be a little bit better. But this album is definitely my favorite by them. Standout tracks for me are Jurassic and Holocene. Now, in saying that, I didn't actually like Jurassic. I liked the intro track because it had that Tool feel to it. Let me see what I said about the first track. There was such a beautiful bass lick at the start of it, which was kind of like similar to the one in Holocene there. Had Tool all over it, so instantly I kind of fell in love with it because it just sounded so nostalgic to me, with like the way in which I kind of came into the prog scene with listening to so much of Tool's discography. Loved the like robotic, monotone delivery of the vocals in the first track. Beautiful reverb and delay in the guitars, just beautiful. Overall, just sounded so sexy. There's a climatic scream, which again always reminds me of The Grudge in the way in which Tool build into that scream that Maynard delivers in The Grudge. It was such a nice payoff. It felt like that progressive element. You know, sometimes that prog can almost feel like they're edging you and you never really get any payoff, but that felt very much so like a payoff. And then it kind of like faded back into that robotic voice. So that was why I liked that Triassic intro. And then we had Jurassic, which I need to like as well. That was a progressive masterpiece, is the best way to describe that. Obviously, having a Catatonia feature is always an automatic win. And then we had a huge payoff because it was so progressive. We had like 7 minutes before we even got Catatonia's feature. And then we built into just more and more of a payoff. It was just beautiful. Paleocene, this is where it kind of left me a bit. So that was like, that's only 2 tracks, but that is 21 minutes into the album, which is hilarious to say. But that was 2 tracks in. And then we got into Paleocene. So after about 21 minutes, it kind of lost me a little bit. It wasn't my favorite. Lacked any like progressive feel because obviously the first 2 tracks had so much time to build and it really gave it that progressive feel, which I kind of like. That's my style of prog. If I'm going to listen to these like older sounding prog albums, I like it to feel like a progressive album. But track by track, I suppose breaking it down is a little bit unfair, but if I am to do it, it's this Paleocene track. It just lacked that like progressive element to it, so it wasn't my favorite track. Obviously, in context of the whole album, I'm sure if I just forget which track I'm on, it probably sounds a lot better. But breaking it down track by track, which is obviously just kind of an easier way to do it for video format, I feel as though that track, I probably would skip it. It's not really for me. And based on the actual plays on Spotify, I think a lot of people would agree with me because it is one of their lower tracks. It is the actual lowest played track on the entire album. So I mean, that is fairly spot on with my assessment of it. Not my favorite at all. Yeah, just sound overall not really for me. It kind of picked up the tempo a little bit, so not really my style. Then we had Ecocene, which is the fourth track, which is a little better. The tempo peeled back a notch from Paleocene, which is more up my street for this type of music, which is what I just described. Again, we kind of got Tool vibes again, which is a pro, of course, and it just makes everything better when it sounds somewhat like Tool. And then we got into the Oligocene, which is, you know, the track that I liked after Triassic and Jurassic. We got back into this like soothing feel. Perfectly describes the epoch in musical format. So obviously this epoch is this like geological period of time. It was like the transitional period of time geologically, but also it served as a very cool transitional period into the outro tracks of the album. So that was track 5. After that track, we got, you know, Miocene and Pleistocene and Holocene. So we had 3 tracks after that. So it was like the first half of the album, and then we had the transitional period from a physical standpoint and also from a, you know, an audible standpoint. So that was a really cool like crossover, or I suppose descriptive way of writing to describe the whole period of time. So that was really cool. Miocene and Pliocene don't have much written here, but I just have the vocals were amazing towards the end of this. I think that was the track where the vocalist had this kind of like some inflection where it sounded like he was riding a wave. He's like, so that was really cool. Pleistocene, there was a haunting violin in it, which is the first time we got any violin, and obviously we'll get on to Holocene, which was just fucking phenomenal. It might be one of my tracks of the year. Haunting violin, very weird death metal outro, was a little jarring for me. So yeah, it was kind of one of these tracks that I liked certain elements of it, like I said, the violin, but it did kind of lose me in certain parts. Obviously there was like a death metal influence at the end, which was the first of its kind for the album. Not bad, but it just isn't, again, it's not really my style. It's not for everyone, not really for me. And then we had the that was the second last track, and then we had Holocene, man, which was just intro was Tool vibes all over it again. Had that kind of like reverbed clean guitar playing over the back, and then there was just the perfect midnight driving song. I don't want to say like a masterpiece of a song. I don't know if it's like, I feel like masterpieces of songs have to just be like more like Jurassic, but from replay value wise, I think Holocene is the most replayable track on the album for me. Weirdly enough, it has like pretty low listens on Spotify. I guess it's kind of like a soothing outro track, but that is probably my favorite track on the entire album. Quite closely linked with Jurassic, but yeah, that just does it for me. That is everything I'm looking for in music, full stop, not just prog. It just had me tingling for the entire album. So obviously I've touched on a lot of pros there. Some of the cons for me was, I don't think it was too long. I think that was like pretty good track length. Obviously me going to the toilet in the middle of it kind of broke it up a little bit. But I think it just lacks considerable melody, which somewhat eliminates them from being in regular rotation for me. It's not like a pro or a con, so to speak, because that's not really their style. Now, in saying that, Holocene does have like some memorable moments where it is quite melodic, but it's not their intention, I think, to be one of these, you know, hooky bands that has like really hooky choruses, like a lot of the, like, I suppose, metalcore and just general core music that I would listen to has involved. And even some of the prog music has more, you know, catchy, deliberate choruses, where this is just so down the prog street. So it's obviously not their bread and butter to be trying to do that. So I can't really count it as a pro, or sorry, as a con, but it does just fall under a personal con for me because it's just not going to be something that is regularly in my rotation. I think the only track that would definitely be on a day-to-day basis played to me is Holocene, just because it's just so chilled. It's like a good driving song. I can see myself listening to it in so many different scenarios. So yeah. And then I think it lacks significant groove. Again, they're not really a groovy band. It's like, it's not really a con again. It's more just, it's not their style. But just for me, it's a sort of a preference thing where I just like there to be a bit of groove. So I think it's more, these cons are more so about the replay value for me. Obviously I can appreciate how good and talented and creative these guys are as musicians. And obviously from a philosophical level, it's obviously very cool that they take such deep thought into the topics that they write about and they, portray thematically. But it's just not really my cup of tea from a day-to-day listen. But it's definitely one of those albums that you can look back on. Like if someone asks me like what's some of the coolest albums you've heard, these kind of fall into that category, you know what I mean? Like it's not for everyone, and how much replay value it has for someone like myself who has quite a I don't know how to describe my taste, but I do have quite a broad taste, but I do like there to be groove and melody in my day-to-day music. Not necessarily every track I listen to is like that, but if I'm just breaking this album down for what it is, their sound overall isn't like, a daily listen for me. But other than that, man, you've seen my thoughts from a reaction standpoint on where I stand with these guys. Absolutely phenomenal musicians, artists, creatives, absolutely amazing stuff. So yeah, guys, that wraps up my thoughts. I want to thank Tyler Durden for supporting the channel directly for the second month in a row with the ocean requests. So everyone who is a fan of the ocean and has enjoyed these videos, please do say thank you to Tyler in the comment section down below, and make sure you drop a like in this one as well, guys. Like I said at the start of the video, these videos generally don't get great traction because the algorithm just says, nah, don't like you, because people tend to not, only the real fans of these guys will, watch the entire album reaction, and it's trying to actually get these videos to get pushed out to those people that really want to watch it. So that's why, any engagement at all in the video is much appreciated, because it will push it further than YouTube would naturally, because of the low engagement from a watch time perspective, because people who aren't that big of fans of the ocean likely won't watch the video. So yeah, if you could help me out in that way, guys, just drop a like in the video. That's all I ask. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. What is your favorite album from the ocean? Is it this one? Is it Pelagial? Is it the one before this, the part 1, which was it Phanerozoic part 1 or part 2? This is personally my favorite ocean album. And yeah, guys, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm signing out. Look after yourselves. If you want to get involved via the Patreon tier and suggest an album, then do get involved on patreon.com/DrewFortune. That's all from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm signing out. Look after yourselves. See yous in the next one. Cheers.